Hey there, Vesica? Is it Vesica?
Yes.
Hey, welcome. Um, we haven't had we normally have probably 10 or 15 or so people come in by now, which is makes me think that maybe some reminders didn't go out, but that's cool. How did you find your way here and um yeah, for this one for Q&A?
I did get an email, but I'm not really sure which Q&A this is. So,
Yeah, cool. So this is just about Obvio. So this is specifically um so yeah, you're in Leap, right?
yes, I am. I haven't used Avia though. I'm really behind. So
Fair enough.
maybe I need to go back from the beginning, but
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, this is really about once you're ready for event delivery and you've decided you're going to use Obvio for it because it's included in your Leap plan. Um, then then we can sort of start working through it. So as part of Leap, you do get a your first event dashboard build. And so generally the way that it works pretty well, particularly for people in Leap, is that um, you would likely have your CRM, in place and some sort of sales page, for whatever it is that you're doing. And when you have that in place, then we can we can sort of copy your sales page, branding and design, all of that, and build that first dashboard for you, that matches your sales page and just kind of has the basics of what you need to get going on Ovio.
okay,
Um,
great. I
yeah,
think I'll jump off because I have some work to do before then. And
no worries at
and
all.
and do I just when I'm ready to do that, do I just email it from the site? Because I work inside of Go High Level.
Yeah, great. Yes. So once you've got all that sort of in place, then I think Elizabeth has a form that you can fill out um, for the dashboard build. It's just got a few questions on it and some like the assets of particular logos or things like that. Um, and then from there we can take it from there and sort of build out your dashboard. So, but you also can think about um, if so some of the recommendations that we've been doing lately for Leap and just kind of starting out is that it could be that your first event you just do in Zoom, straight up, and not use Obvio, as in that you um, keep the process just really simple and familiar, and then it might be your next one. But whatever your decision is, it's fine. You're able to use Obvio. It totally, totally is. Sometimes it can just be a little bit overwhelming. It's like, oh, there's all this extra cool stuff that I can do, but should I be doing that yet, or should I wait until I, have the event is a bit bigger, or it really needs some particular features of Ovio to make it work?
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Have you guys all have a good day.
Thank you. Bye bye. It's just really weird that no one's showing up.
Maybe they're having a vacation.
Yeah, I guess start of summer.
Also, I think not live in YouTube yet, so I'm not sure if we're gonna be waiting for some attendees or
I if if yeah, I'm not sure if a reminder went out. Um, Her account was set up. Her account was set up in 2022. So it's been around for a while. Well, I reckon I'm going to give this about 20 minutes, which it's already been 10. And then I'll call it. So, yeah, we haven't had this in a while.
Well, where do you send the email marketing or reminders for this one? Is it
Oh,
also in
yeah.
Ovio?
Um, no, so the reminders, not sure if you get them. They actually end up going into my spam often. Um, but yeah, I'll show you here. That's amazing. So yeah, we're ready to go live. So that went out 6:15. Starts in 15 minutes. Join. So this is coming from Keep because that's what Sage uses. Um, do you guys get that at all? Because I'm not sure whether it's syncing backwards. Um,
Well, on my end, I don't receive that email, even though I check the spam.
yeah, right.
Maybe I'm not included on the list.
Well, yeah, and I think that in theory, I think there might be a Zapier integration that should sync if someone comes in via the Obvio sign up page like you guys did. It it should sync back. Um, yeah, so there's a. In fact, Keep is not directly integrated here. It is through Zapier. Um, we don't use Zapier as much as we used to. Like before, like that was the first thing that we did. We didn't have any of the other integrations, and so it actually was really cool. Um, the sorts of things you could do with Zapier because you could then connect it with other CRMs or whatever. Um, and so it's not used as much as it is as now that we've got direct integrations with stuff. But I think on this particular event, it's still using Zapier going back and forth. So
I think we have a new one now.
yeah, there we go. Hey, hey, Daynette, Daynette. Hey there. Oh, you unmuted, then you muted.
Am I in the wrong space?
Well, no, not necessarily. I think summer seems to have really kicked in for people, because normally we would have, um, 20, 30 people or so, and for some reason we've just had only had a couple.
I was
So,
yeah, I was actually in the wrong stage. Is this
oh, you were
for Barry and
no,
I'm in the wrong spot. I don't know how I
you're in the you're in Q&A for Obvio.
for Avia. Okay, okay, that's
Yes.
right. That's right. Okay. All right, that's fine. I'm good with that. I'm good with
Okay,
that. But
good.
that's Barry and Blue.
Yeah. That's right. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, I'm in the
Yeah.
right spot. I'm in the right spot.
Okay.
Sorry, folks.
Well, hello. It's nice to meet
Yeah,
you.
it's great.
Um, yes, there was. You probably saw an email that came out that was about Obvio Q&A specifically, and so on these calls we tend to just talk through any questions that you might have around Obvio and the using of Obvio. Um, so I think Laura is here as well. So it's just this has been a funny week this week where a bunch of the regular um, Obvio users that come on each week are enjoying their summer, it seems. So yeah. So this is, I think, Laura, you've been in Leap for a while as well. So is there any particular, are you using Obvio yet? And do you have any sort of Obvio specific questions, or were you just clicking emails and found your way here?
Are you speaking to Laura or to?
Well, either either of you is fine. Yeah.
I have not used it yet, but I'm getting ready to schedule my event. And so
Uh,
whatever I can glean from others would be amazing.
yeah, sure. Um, and and have you had a you haven't used Obvio at all yet, but and have you done some events outside of Obvio? Is that kind of what's happened, or
Yes, I've only been engaged in live events. So I actually switched over
okay,
to Leap so that I could stop traveling and doing what I was doing in the past so that I could just train online.
nice. And where are you at in that transition?
I am no longer training in person, and I am probably a month away from going to online. So I'm halfway through my 90-day checklist, which is just amazing. I don't know if
Awesome.
you've seen that, but
Yeah,
it's just very intense checklist, and so that has really prepared me so well for getting started from live to virtual.
amazing. So good. Um, yeah, so in Leap you have your first dashboard in the Obvio dashboard is included, and so that can be built out for you by us. And so the way that that works, generally the best way is that you would have your sales page kind of already all set up in likely in your CRM. You've got all that set, and then we can then match the Obvio dashboard to the sales page. So kind of the same branding, the same look and feel, and then we can sort of build out that dashboard for you. And so the decision really is whether that first event that you're doing, if you want to use Obvio for that, because there is a world where you just use Zoom, like you just use things that you're familiar with anyway, and you run your first event in that way, or you use Obvio. Like that's totally your choice. It's just about um, how much is how much to bite off on the first one, is really the idea. So, um,
So let me ask
but
a
yeah,
question, if that's okay.
yeah, of course.
So if you're training on Avio, does that program go through Zoom or vice versa?
Yeah, yeah. So what Obvio is, it's almost like a wrapper for Zoom, and so in the same way that what you just did to get into this event is the way that Obvio works. You clicked a link in an email that went to a dashboard. We call it a dashboard. Um, has a bunch of links on it, some information about the event. It's kind of a portal into the event, and really, what it does is it replaces the waiting for host to start meeting, Zoom message that you would normally have on business meetings, or we've let the host know, waiting, you're in the waiting room, waiting to get let in, that instead of that, we have this really nice dashboard that's sort of this home for your event. What's nice about that is that it's great for when you're before your event's even started, a couple of days before. They can click on the link. Okay, this is where I'll go. Here's some extra information about it. That's awesome. And then there's the link to get you into Zoom. You click that, and it launches Zoom. Now the key thing is that Obvio includes the Zoom license as well, right? Like it's totally tied in, and so there's a process on the event day that you would go and start the room, sort of start the Zoom meeting, and then you would open the area to to let people in, right? And so that's the process of that for you. The thing that Obvio is also is about scaling, right? And it was actually the how it sort of came about 6 years ago was the need to have more than one Zoom meeting because of how many people were showing up to these events during COVID. And so Obvio handles being able to send people into multiple Zoom rooms as if it's one event. So that's kind of what it is. But we have found that it's a much better experience for people, like what you just did. You click on that link, you go to the dashboard. It's like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm excited about the event. I click here and I join Zoom. So having that home, that portal, dashboard as we call it, sort of becomes a almost like a temporary membership site. It's like here's the 20, 200, 2,000 people that have come to your event, and they all have access to this dashboard because maybe they need easy access to some resources, a workbook, particular downloads, whatever. It's all on that dashboard. They need to maybe access a couple of different Zoom meetings. Maybe you want a help desk where people can ask questions throughout your event. Okay, so now you've got a help desk button. They want to know exactly the timings of each day. Okay, there's the agenda there, right? And so you can see how if you think of Zoom, there's Zoom, but then there's just kind of the extra support or the scaffolding around Zoom that you put up to make the event just that little bit better for people, to make that experience better for them. And so that's what Ovio is. And so
So
yeah.
how soon should we connect before our event? A week before, a month before,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
put in all the information.
yeah, I think the generally the longer the better. When you've really launched your sales page and it's public, and maybe you've got some ads running on it or whatever to get people to go to that sales page, that's a great time. If you've decided, okay, yeah, I want to use Obvio for this event, and I want my first dashboard build to be made based on that sales page, then as soon as you're public, then send it over to us. So which is you can go through Elizabeth, but there is a form to fill out that's just a basic thing that's like, this is my logo, this is my event dates, this is my sales page, that sort of stuff. And you send that over to us, and we can that form ends up going to us. Elizabeth connects with us and makes that work. And then we'll get that going, and then it'll be, you can spend, depending on what your timeline is there, a couple of weeks, a week or two, just filling out some of that extra, those extra things that you might want on it, resources and things like that. And and so I always think that the bare minimum, as much as there's so many things that you can put on your dashboard, I think the bare minimum is that you have a link to Zoom, of course, to get people in. I think the agenda is cool. Agenda. When I say agenda, I mean like just start and end day, end times for the days, because then you see the dashboard auto converts the time zone as well, and so people will see it in their time zone. So it's super clear that it starts at 7 a.m. or 11 a.m. or whatever it is. It makes it really clear for them. Um, and then I mean, we sometimes we'll do a countdown as well. Countdown can be great too, right? People go to the page 2 days before, and they're like, okay, yep, a countdown, no matter what time zone you're in, if it starts in 2 hours, it starts in 2 hours, like, and so countdowns are really good too. So that's the bare minimum, and then it's like, okay, and now I do have a workbook, and I have a PDF thing download or a link off to your other site, and ultimately an a your offer and how you might be selling your offer and a button to go to that as well, right? So there's all those sorts of things.
So I probably have lots of questions, but I'll let Kat go ahead and ask questions.
No worries.
Okay, I
Hello.
put it in, I wrote it
Yep.
in, but it's a real easy one. So you can get
Okay.
back to saying it.
Okay.
Okay. Mine is I have on Mondays, I have a meeting with women, Rooted Mondays, where we reset for the week. And when they come in like grant attendee and not their last name,
Uh-huh.
yet their last name is all set up and I can't change their name and they can't change their name. So can you help me fix that so that they can come in and actually have their name in there? And also,
Sure.
one more thing. Every, no, it's not here. Never mind. It's when I go to a normal Zoom, it keeps on having the wrong email. Anyway, that's different.
Okay. Okay. So the reason that attendee shows up is that the last name is not being passed through to Obvio correctly. So
Is it go high
um
level or am I doing something wrong in
probably
Obvio?
it,
Okay.
it probably is connecting the last name field in Go High Level um to Obvio. So I mean, so you're collecting their name, you're collecting their last name. Yep.
I
So
thought I
you
was. I mean, my first meetings went fine, and then this last one was all attendee stuff, and I was like, no.
yep. So yeah, it just means that um I'd have a look in Go High Level. Um sometimes we sometimes we put in on those forms it could be just one field for name. And so is that what's happening? Is there last name there and then it says attendee, or is it
No,
just
it says
or just
grant
cat? Okay,
attendee.
attendee. Okay, so so that it just means that last name is not being captured properly and being
Exactly.
pushed
How do I
through
fix
to
it?
Obvio. Well, you can have a look at um, you can show me your Go High Level setup as to what's happening there. We can have a look. Um,
Fabulous. Okay, I'll just get on there, and then you tell me where to go.
mhm.
Okay, go high level, Kathy. Not all this other junk. He's not going to want to see any of that stuff. So, get that out of the way. If I show you too much, I apologize. I'm still getting good at this stuff. Not
It's
totally
all right.
fabulous yet.
I'm actually not recording. We're not live streaming this at the moment anyway,
Okay.
so it's all okay.
Tell me
Yeah.
where to go.
So
Uh,
show me where
First of all,
you're.
I need to be in Cat King and not Curiosity Cubed because Melissa's not
Uh,
doing this right now. So I need to go to
makes sense.
membership or contacts, right?
Well, we can see. Yeah. So see how a bunch of those people have no
Yeah,
last
I
name.
see that. I see
Yeah.
that. So I
So
need to go
that's
in here and put their last name.
yes. Well, yes. Um.
Okay, so I didn't understand why Avio has it and Go High Level doesn't. So it's like, okay, so I need to fix something.
Yeah. So it seems
Okay,
like wherever wherever people are signing up to that, um, it looks like you're not capturing their last name. You're not
okay,
asking for it,
I will work on that.
or it's not
So either I'm not asking for it
required.
right or something. I don't know. But okay,
Yep,
okay,
yep.
I will
I
work on
mean,
that.
Obvio doesn't send back to Go High Level, so it can't remove their last name. So it just means you haven't got it in the first place.
So only the ones that I took in directly before Go High Level are going to be okay. It's the Go High Level bit that I'm doing wrong. Okie dokie. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
no
Appreciate
worries.
it. That's
Yeah,
it.
and it's all just because Zoom needs to have a last name, and so attendee is is what ended up being. So that's why that worked.
I get it. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
No worries. We'll see ya. Um, all right. Wow, it feels a bit like a ghost town. As I said, we normally have like normally have lots of questions, lots of people, but that's good for you, Danette. So,
It is.
do you
It
have
is. So
more questions? Yeah.
I do. So the time that you need to build is
Mm.
2 weeks, and I need a couple of weeks to build. Is that what you're thinking?
No, we normally turn them around in a few days, so there's no problems there. That's okay.
Okay.
Um,
And oh, go ahead.
yep.
I'm sorry.
No, you go.
And as far as how it's recorded, is it recorded on Zoom or is it recorded through Obi?
Okay. Um, so not to get too uh make a too fine a point. Unfortunately, when I named Obvio and then Blue named Obi, and they're two very separate things. And it's annoying how close the names are. Um, but so Obvio, just so it's clear, when you get this right, then it'll be clear in your mind. It'll be fine. Obvio is the event platform we're talking about.
Okay.
Obi Obi is the AI kind of course creation, like the process that you're using as part of Leap, but which is separate to Obvio. So, um, in Obvio, it launches Zoom. Zoom is recording that and then in the cloud, and then you can access those recordings through Obvio. So technically, it's being recorded in Zoom, and then through your Obvio admin, you're able to access those recordings. In general, just general advice is that we we always suggest that people consider the Zoom recording as kind of a backup recording or a secondary recording when you're doing your event. And so it just depends on what sort of technical setup you have for your event, but it is great when you have a local recording, if you can. So we just kind of just say that because there's times where Zoom recordings haven't worked for people, or it's not as high quality or whatever it is. So I
Okay.
just add that.
Thank you.
Hmm. Any other questions?
Not for me. I think that is, I was just really concerned about whether if there was an AI model that was also recording in
Oh
addition
yeah,
to Zoom.
I
And
see.
you're saying no, right?
So AI companion in Zoom um, is uh, it is enabled, but it's only accessible for your. What it does is it creates like a little summary that you can download in the downloads. So with uh, all the recorded video files and the audio and the transcript, you can access all of those. And then another one is also the summary, the AI summary of what the whole event was or meeting was, and so you can access that, but no one else is accessing that.
And it's just through Zoom, correct? It's just through
Correct.
not the OB
Not anything
platform.
else. That's right. Yeah. No.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That was everything.
No problems. Excellent. Thanks for coming along.
Hey, Justin.
So
Hello, hello.
it's a bit of a ghost town here today, Justin.
It is. Did you answer Cat King's question before I came in?
Yes, I did.
Perfect.
And yes, she was here and then she went. So I think summer has kicked in, is what it feels like. So that's all right.
It's okay.
Um,
I'll be here to answer questions every week.
that's right. But we will likely
So if you,
shut
oh,
this
here's some of the
down. Oh,
questions.
you'll just keep going. Yes.
You have, if you have 25 people or 20 people in your course, it
Yeah.
it really isn't for that, but it is because it provides so much more information than what they receive in Zoom. They just get an open screen, but just like when we signed up for Leap, we found all that information on that front page. That's exactly what they will see, correct?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And did you attend the TVE, like the virtual event on
I
virtual
did.
events? Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And so that experience is Obvio, right? Like that whole thing that you had where you had a link that got you to that dashboard and there was all information about TVE and what was going on, and then you clicked on join main stage, you went there and that's where it went into Zoom. So there's not there's not anything um once you're in Zoom like we are now, there's nothing particularly unique about this Zoom experience, apart from the fact that it is an enterprise Zoom account and it has high definition turned on. And so, like it looks a little bit better than just a standard Zoom. But apart from that, everything else is the same. It's not really anything special about it. It was just the way that the attendee got into Zoom and the way that we like the idea that if your event is not open yet, and we talk about having the area open, the Zoom area, if the toggle is not on in Obvio, then it can go to an offline page. And that offline page is really fully customizable and is just a better experience than either a waiting room or the Zoom, waiting for host to start meeting dialog box. And so now it's a much more helpful sort of place to be. So, but you can see how 90%, 95% of the experience is what you do in Zoom. And so when you're tackling that first one is where you can still be like, I know that I want to do, if you think about this in terms of what you've done in person, I'm sure that you've thought about what you do in the foyer of your ballroom and what your registration table looks like and what you have and pop-up banners and all that sort of stuff. And it's the same thinking, right? Where it's once people get into the ballroom, they get into Zoom, you can handle it from there. It's fine. But how much of this extra stuff do I want to do around the event? What do I want to have in the foyer of my event? What do I want to have at the registration desk? What sort of experience do I want for people so that when they first join, when they first click on that link, or when they first walk into the venue, what's their experience? And so you can see that for the bulk of your event, they're in the ballroom, they're in Zoom, and so it can be that you're like, you know what, I know I want to have a fancy foyer for my events, but for my first one, I'm fine with just having a Zoom link. They walk in off the street straight into the ballroom. It's like, and there is no foyer. There is no place to get extra information. I'm not sure if that analogy is helpful, but that's really what the concept is.
Great. Thank you, Grant. I appreciate
Yeah,
all of your answers.
no problems. You're welcome. Hey, Suzanne. We've we've had just people dripping into this today. It's been an eerie experience. Is
Well,
that I think
I
summer has
hope I'm
started.
agree. Yeah. How are you guys?
Oh, good, good, good to see you.
So can I ask a
You
question?
can, please.
Okay, so I am not trying, I shouldn't say that. I am wanting to learn as much as possible, right, about the back end. I know, Justin, you have helped me out and answered questions. You also know I've been orbiting for a while. So I've been in this space for a little while. I kind of came in and did it a little bit differently because I was already running monthly webinars, which I still do, by the way. And then I immediately put our semesters on Obvio, which I absolutely love, you know, for that experience for my students. But now I have the runway to be able to do a 3-day event and really put this program into practice. So starting one. So I want to start from learning as much as I can about doing that. I have a potential date at the end of August. Thank you for the hearts, Justin. I will take them. But, and I'm sure that Grant and Justin, you can really relate to this, you know, middle-aged women and learning tech and all this stuff. So I love having help do it, but I also think as a business owner, it's smart to know, to learn things and to know as much as you can. And yeah, so, and I keep hearing there's no stupid questions. I don't really believe that, but that's okay. I'm just like, that's such a dumb question, but you know what? You got to start, you got to do it. That's how you learn. So the first thing I'm doing is putting together my webinar that's going to invite people into the event. So I have to go back. I've done the OB 2.0, which is amazing, by the way, going in and putting all the information in for the PAG. I do have to go back and massage 1 or 2 sections to get it really dialed in. But at the same time, I know that that front end of bringing people in to purchase a ticket for $97 is different than what I normally do. I usually do. So, you know, there's pros and cons. I usually do a free webinar. People come in and then they buy. This is different. So now we're going to be, so I was like, oh, I need to set up a runway to put a webinar together, to sell the ticket, to then bring them into the event. So that's what I'm doing. So my question for you both is I'm putting that together. I then buy a URL for that page, for the opt-in webinar for the $97 webinar. And then how do I connect it? So should I be setting up my dashboard on Obvio right now for the 3-day event so that everything can be connected when people start to buy those tickets? It gets tagged and then it's in there. I know I'm throwing a lot of just here bits and pieces, but that's kind of where I'm at. So give me any feedback. And if there's a place directly in the training that I should go and like dive into and spend my time in, if you just lead me there, that's helpful too. You know, I'll do the work. There's so much great information. I just want to make sure I'm spending my time wisely.
Sure. Grant, you mind if I field this one first and then
Yeah,
turn it over to you?
take it away. It looks like you wanted to.
Yeah. So, Suzanne, I think the important thing for this one was you're not giving out the dashboard link for your 3-day event typically until you're ready to do like the check-in process. And so you don't have to have all the ducks in a row and the dashboard totally done and in order to do the webinar to sell the tickets. The important part is doing the webinar to sell the tickets so that they're sitting in a CRM someplace. So then once you've created, at some point in time, obviously don't wait till the very last minute to do it, but at some point in time, your dashboard for the 3-day event is going to be ready. You're going to want to add attendees. And are you still using Go High Level or are you using one of the other CRMs?
So I have Go High Level. Yes. Sorry.
Perfect.
Easy
enough then.
Here. So I have Kit over on one side, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to just stick with High Level. Go High Level.
Yeah. And so once your 3-day event is ready, there's a process that we can help walk you through that to hook Obvio to your Go High Level. And then it's just as easy as tagging all the people that have bought the ticket with the tag that we're going to give you. And then they'll get added in as attendees. They'll put the URL back into your Go High Level and then you can email it out. So a lot of times we may not even add attendees in until a day or two before the event is actually going to do the check in and everything else, so that way we can do all the design. We don't have to worry about accidentally sending it out, all of that stuff. And a lot of times the dashboard's one of the last things that really like fully gets done, because you're still working on workbooks. You're still working on maybe a welcome letter in there. So the attendee piece is the easiest piece. That's like literally if we were doing it right now, it's like, because we're going to be explaining like a 20 to 25 minute thing to walk through. But if you had someone that had already done the process, like a 5 to 10 minute thing to set it up start to finish. So it doesn't take long to get all that done for the attendees. I think
Good.
the
And
more
we have time.
important, and we have time for that. I think the more important thing for you to learn isn't even an Avio related thing. It's a event strategy thing of what should be on the dashboard. Thinking through, for my 3-day event, you need an all-in button so that they can purchase your offer. If you're going to do a sales lobby, you need to decide, are you doing one or not doing one, so that you can put a button on the dashboard. Is there going to be a workbook? Is there going to be emoji paddles? Is there exercises that I want them to go to the dashboard and give me answers to it and fill it out? There'll probably be an agenda at a high level. We start at this time, we end at this time. There might be a second agenda that is VIP agenda where you non-VIP, if you have VIP tickets, that's one thing to decide as well. It's an advanced move to have VIP tickets. But if you choose to have them, you may have an agenda that only gets shown to people that are not VIP. And then you may have another agenda that gets shown to VIP. It also means you'll probably have a button on your dashboard for all the people that haven't bought VIP to be able to upgrade to VIP that's only shown to the non-VIPs. So that's the stuff that to think through first. Because once you know all that stuff, building out a button, like once you build one button, they're all kind of the same. You add a button, you put some text on it, you put some styles and some colors and font sizes, and do you want the buttons rounded or not rounded? But you first got to know what buttons you actually need. And so that's the first step from an event strategy. The other really important one that a lot of people don't put in place that I think is super valuable is when you hook up your Go High Level to your dashboard, for every single one of the buttons, you can actually have it add a tag inside of Go High Level. And so this becomes really useful for like the all-in button. You can immediately tell which one of my attendees actually clicked the button, not just which one's actually bought. That's the normal thing you get at events. You just know who bought. But it's more important to know who didn't buy so you can follow up, because those are the hot leads. They were interested enough to go look at your actual offer, but they might not have come in the lobby. They might not have asked a question, but you immediately know, oh, here's all the people that clicked on that tag. You can do the same thing if you're running an enrollment lobby. You can do the same thing on the join the main stage. So you may have an event reminder sequence that says, for everyone that hasn't at least clicked that button for day one, let's go send them a reminder 10 minutes after the meeting started or 20 minutes after to say, we haven't seen you yet. But if they clicked on the button, you can then add a tag, and your workflow can look for that tag and drop them out of that workflow. What you'll end up with if you don't is every attendee that's sitting in Zoom will respond, like a large portion will respond back and say, I'm already inside of Zoom, and now your support people are having to go do something with that. Right. And you can do that same thing. You can go in each night and you can change the tag, like to say day one has a day one tag, day two has a day two tag, so that you can, in your reminder sequence for each day, you can do that same thing as a 10 minutes after, remind them, hey, we haven't seen you yet. Like, we don't want you to miss anything, because to miss a little is to miss a lot. Like, you can start giving them those little reminders to try to pop them in there. Same thing for, you can actually track people that have checked in and send them reminders. Hey, you haven't checked in yet. And like trying to get all those people to go through the check-in process. The more you can get them to check in, the better, because then they get greeted by a nice friendly face and get the lay of the land. And so all that, like, that's the event strategy stuff that you kind of think through before you even hop on the dashboard and build one out. And once you're ready to build one out, on the Obvio YouTube channel, there's a couple walkthroughs. We walk through building out Jimbo's dashboard. We walk through building out Liz's dashboard. So those videos are actually pulled out as separate videos that are listed there. They're about 45 to 60-minute videos, but literally Blue or Grant walking through actually building out a dashboard. And that's a great way, once you know what you want on the dashboard, just to wash through those things and kind of follow along and build some of the same things. Put your logos in place, put your buttons in place, create your laser coaching form, all that funness.
That sounds amazing. To learn the high level, that's a high level thing, right? So then I have to just kind of go into high level and figure out the tagging, or have somebody do it for me.
Yeah, and thankfully the tagging is really easy from an implementation standpoint. Right? So anyone that's done Go high level workflows will understand how to set a goal inside of a workflow that looks for specific tags and then puts them in that section of the workflow. So I don't think you have to worry necessarily about the high level pieces as far as just telling them what you want. Like,
Yeah.
you let them know we're going to send reminder sequences. When people click on the button, they're going to get this specific tag. It can be any tag. We only give you one tag, and that's the one to give attendees into Avio. The rest is your choice, whatever tagging convention you want to use.
Okay. And then I know it's been said to do, what are you going to offer first, right? The high ticket, because then you reverse engineer that, right? Because everything should be through line messaging. If they love this, they're going to love this, and then they're going to love this. So you really want to nail down that first, which I'm very close to. But I was going to do, and I am, the webinar first for the $97 do it live. And then once it reaches like a certain conversion rate, you can put it on automation, or yeah, like we have to test that. I have to test that front end first to make sure it's working.
Grant, you want to take the webinar one?
Yeah. So help me understand. You've got. Is there a free webinar that you do as first? No, it's a paid
Oh, I'm so
webinar.
sorry. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Yes. So yeah, so I
Mhm.
was talking about my model that I use for years, but this one will be a free webinar, kind of just like what Barry did with the TVEs. And I
Yep.
think I like doing webinars. It gives them a good chunk of it. So a free webinar to like a 45 to 60 minute, and then a CTA to the $97 3-day event. Yeah.
Amazing. Yep. And so, yeah, the automation trick um uh is complex. So I mean, the way that Blue set up, I'll sort of back into the answer a little bit, and that is that um a big thing that Blue was messing around with was having a webinar start really soon after people were clicking on the links, and so it was like, oh, it starts in 2 hours. That's amazing. The timing's amazing, because actually it was kind of just rolling every few hours. This automation, and they set it up so it would launch into Zoom. You'd have some it would go through it and it would do questions, but it's not quite the same, and it was okay. It's okay, but I question the value of something like that when there isn't live interaction and there isn't, questions back and forth and that sort of thing. And I think there's a lot of value in that. Um, Particularly, I would say, particularly because of your topic, that there's a lot of heart in that, and the connection of that, I think, is super important. And I'm not trying to tell you how to suck eggs. You clearly know, this whole
No,
world.
Jake.
I guess I just challenge,
Yeah.
are you that time poor that you can't do those? Do you know what I mean? I guess that's
No, it
because,
sounds wonderful in theory, but I agree
yeah.
with you. And also, it's not tested yet. So I don't really want to be focusing on necessarily having to do that at this point. Then the question for you is, do you then offer it once a week up until your event? To
Mm,
like, going to do it live, how often would you actually be doing them then? And I can,
hmm
like, it's been times that I don't want to do this, but like there's been times I've answered questions for like 4 hours with the training, which is insane. But we've had
right.
so many people join from around the world that like they're telling stories and I get into it and then I'm, shot for a week. But it's such a beautiful
Yeah.
thing too. There is so much heart there. But if I can
Yeah.
keep this a little bit smaller, obviously, and the training is a lot less, then, and I'm happy to do that. I just wonder what's the right sequence of offering it live.
so there's a lot to that, and it comes to the point of Justin talking about event strategy and the strategy of it. And so um I I have my opinion, and I think as you see, Blue and Barry have sometimes differing opinions as well, right? Um, the thing for me is I think that if you are doing a live webinar, that you would do it at least once a week. It wouldn't be more than that, because when someone has responded to an ad or whatever, they're kind of like there's that hot time that they're like, this is really current for me, and I know that okay, it's only a few days away, and I get to do this live webinar. I would argue that if you were considering the idea of a higher frequency and you were wanting to do potentially some sort of automation and playing it back, I would argue offering a shorter video that people can watch that is not, it's just kind of being real about it, that I've now got a 30-minute video that is available to watch right now.
Yeah.
And that leads them, right? That leads, whatever, 30 minutes, it can be an hour, whatever you want to do. But the point is, you're hot right now. Do I need to wait for a webinar, or
Hmm.
can I get the bulk of that great information? Can I get that right now?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and that idea then is that you target that video especially to that person that's just done that. Hey, it's amazing that you've just clicked on this link. Really love that you're interested in this topic. Let me walk this through with you, and then I want to give you an opportunity to jump on with me live and for us to, work through this together, which might be then just a call to the 3-day event. Did you see what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah, so it seems
it's
like a little bit of
immediate.
an advanced move, but like, yeah, but yeah, both can work. So I'm thinking if I'm
Yep.
just going to go for it and be available weekly, that might be the easiest in structure
Yes.
wise, and every week gives them an opportunity. Okay, great. Next question is, how far out would you start doing these? Is
That's
too
another.
soon?
Before we answer that one, I want to just give a thought on that. I think one of the other things to think about too is how many times is the same audience going to see the offer to come join the webinar? Like after a bit, it starts to burn out like if it's always the same exact people that you're sending it to and they haven't
Well,
already joined.
I'll be doing Facebook ads hopefully to different people. Our
Perfect.
list, yes, but I won't burn them out all. Like them once
Yep.
or twice to this 3-day, like people who've been kind of like hanging around in our orbit, but haven't really done the big course. A 3-day event, a 3-day event, that's an experience. I'll do that like twice, I guess, to the list. But then I think we're going to try and bring in fresh traffic through Facebook ads.
Yeah, as you're bringing fresh traffic, it'll go to what Grant's going to answer in a moment about how frequent it and whatnot. So that's just something to consider, is how many times to send to same audience. I still agree with Grant that once a week is great to run.
Mhm.
You just need to make sure it's not the same like 100 people that you're going to send it to every single week for 8 weeks or 12 weeks. Like after a while, it just becomes noise, and you don't want people to unsubscribe. So there's something to think about. But since you're running ads, like you're going to have a new audience coming in, and
Yeah.
pretty consistently.
Okay.
Grant,
Great.
on to you for the how often or how far in
Yeah.
advance.
This is
When to
when
start.
this is when I try to channel Blue and Barry, and and I think it's all about that experience that they have. If they come in, they do this webinar that they just love, and then you're like, okay, now we've got the 3-day event, and it's happening in 3 months' time. You're like, okay, I'm out. It's like I want it to be really within reach. It's like it's a month out, maybe it's 6 weeks out. You see what I mean? It's like, because you're doing the call to action.
I
You've
do.
you've 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 got them nice and hot. They want to come to your event,
Yeah.
and they don't want to wait forever for that to happen, right? And so it's getting that kind of that window. I think is no more than 6 weeks.
Okay. All right. but I want to be like ready in 6 weeks. So I want to have the kinks worked out, or maybe like a test. So 6 weeks, I really want to go for it because it will be summertime too. And
Hmm.
anyway.
Hmm.
But I agree with that all. Okay, so if you were to say this is your next 3 set, what is with the URL that I get? That is to the sales page for the 3-day event that I pick a URL for that. Is that right? Or am I making?
As far as what URLs going in your ads
So
or the
I
Obvio?
when Lou was describing it and doing the replit and doing the invitation, he said pick a URL and buy that domain and put it
Right.
in. What domain are we talking about? For the
Justin?
webinar, for the 3-day event?
So
The
I
name
think
of
I'm going to give you the, yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit more of a generic, all-encompassing answer. My personal feeling on all of these AI app generators is to build brand trust and authority, you should be putting all of them under a domain that you own. It could be a subdomain in that you own, like I own letyournerdbeheard.com. So it could be my 3-day event.letyournerdbeheard.com. Or it could be I bought an actual domain like my 3-day event.com that I hooked up to it. But it should be something that's not like my 3-day event.replit.app or my 3-day event.lovable.app or my 3-day event whatever AI.app. Like I don't think that builds brand trust just as much, and people are getting a little bit wise to that, and then with trust and going, do you really stand behind this? Is it a fly by night? Like you couldn't pay the $20 to get on a paid plan so that you could add a domain that you own onto it. It
Sure.
doesn't have. It could be any domain you own. It could be one that you bought. It could be a subdomain. Key pieces that like I'd put your webinar registration page at a domain you own. I'd put your ticket sales page for your event on there. I would put your offer that you're going to make at the 3-day event and on an actual domain that you own. And you can still create them with AI. Like every AI platform, like Replit, since you mentioned it, has a spot when you publish that you can go hook up your own domain that you own. And it takes just a few moments to go do that.
Check out. Okay. All right. Well, I feel like I have information to get started.
And Grant had a comment on that.
Just on the domains, I would totally use your doulagivers.com and just do a subdomain as Justin's saying. Like, so now it's like webinar.doulagivers.com or whatever it is. But it could be more generic, sign up, like opt in, whatever you want to call it, but it's something that's tied back to that core domain that has great Google reputation and things. So yeah, you don't necessarily need another domain when you've got that good one.
Okay, that was probably for people who might not have websites.
Correct.
And things. Got it.
Correct.
Okay, so for that, I would need one for the webinar that I'm going to do for the opt-in, and then a separate one for the purchase for the 3-day event, my sales page for that. And then we just start bringing them in. And then like Justin said, we can later start to bring them into Obvio when we're ready, but we have time for that. So start flushing out this, finish my PAG so that I make sure that through line is correct. And then, there was something else I was going to say, but that sounds really correct. And then I guess just start to plan out my schedule for doing those live events and Facebook ads and stuff. Yeah, this is going to be, we're going to be able to do it. We'll be able to do it. How it's all going to come out, I don't know, but I have high hope. I think it's going to be great. Because you learn as you go.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And have you got team around you, that sort of admin team and things that are able to work on this for you as well?
I do. Yeah. So this has been a little bit of the challenge, is that we have a model that we've been doing for years, and that's a monthly model, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's a very timely subject, very important subject, and it's a global subject. So we have a lot of traffic that kind of comes in service, so that we do have a team, but they have been very much focused on the tasks that way that we've been monetizing the webinars and doing things comes in. Yeah. So asking them to do this they've kind of, been resistant to confusion, and also they know it's important, but they didn't want to stop the things that's driving our business to do it. But we found a beautiful common place. But I do want to respect how much I'm going to throw at them and when. And that's why I want to have organization on my end of it, where I can say, if you can just hook up this, if you can just do this, then it, that I feel like that's really respectful and also just makes sense. So, I mean, you guys teach everything. It's amazing, if you just put the time in to do it and then ask the question. So it's really exciting to be able to do it. Of course, I want this to be like a huge event, but I think we always want it to be great, and it will be what it is. I don't do anything kind of half. So, and we have so many people that I think are just going to love, the experience. And that's really what I want. So, yeah. All right. Guys,
the reason I ask as well is that I'm really intrigued by what is yours to do. Like, what is it that only you can do, and what is it that other people can do, and how much brain cycles do you spend on something that can be done by someone else and can be delegated to someone else? You know what I mean? And because I pick up on your point that was like, I think we need to know, as the leaders, we still need to know the processes, but to what detail? Like, where is that line? And I can see you sort of wrestling with that now, right? It's like how much I need to understand the high level view. How low do I have to go to then be able to hand it off to someone else? Like, and ultimately, how much time is wasted by doing that, in that if I was to take that time and invest that into the things that only I can do, what does that look like? And so I'm just identifying that with lots of people that we're working with, that we can get, really not necessarily distracted, but kind of pulled in this direction where it's like, I'm now thinking about go high level fields and how they connect to this and that. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not teaching what I'm, skilled to teach.
Yeah, no, I love that perspective. And I think that's something that always has to, be brought back, that awareness, because you can like lose yourself and get in the weeds. I do like to have an idea of what it takes so that I'm able to describe it like to my team, or to just have an idea. But you're right. My whole thing is my teaching, is the content, is the experience, is the being grounded and present to listen to people as we are doing case studies and people are sharing stories. Like I can't have my mind in many different places. So I do like you guys explaining this to me is so helpful for me to sort of see a bigger picture. But you are right to make sure that I stay solid where I'm supposed to be, and then so that it can be, I want to enjoy this too, right? So
Yeah. So it's not overwhelming, but and can I just say too that I really love what you do. I've kind of tracked it a bit for a little while when it popped up initially, because my wife actually did start of life doula training, and so when I saw doula, but we'd actually spoken a bit about end of life, and of course have all sorts of experiences with family in that process, and losing people through that process. But my wife is really interested in it as well. And there was a recent expo that we had up here, just around the whole end of life, which was really cool. It was, and one of the things that we found out about was a choir in our area that kind of specializes, or actually in the end of life time, and going into places, visiting people, and it's just this little choir that sings to people at end of life, which is really amazing.
That's so beautiful, Grant. Thank you so much for sharing that. We have the Threshold Choir, which that might be the same thing. It might be an international.
Okay, right.
Right. It is so moving. These people go in with these beautiful voices, and just that vibration of love that they bring into
Nice.
this space. And here's the thing, I understand that this is a interesting topic to probably be talking about, but if I can share that, you know, this used to be revered as a sacred rite of passage and for thousands of years, and it used to be communal and ritual, and we're aging. Like there's multiple issues that we're facing at this moment. We have an aging population like we've never seen. We've got a
Mm.
care crisis. They don't have the support, they don't have resources, they're doing it by themselves. Then we've got this massive traumatic grief session because the grief is related to them not having what they need. And like, if we don't address these
Yeah.
things, and how do we come together with presence and resources and talking about this and what can make a difference, we're never going to be able to shift this. And so like this work is so important. But the level 1 training, and I just will share this with you both, is that 90 minutes, I've been doing this training for 16 years.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, like the story is crazy. I was a hospice nurse. I, came up with a training. My CEO said, we can't use it. It won't get reimbursed. I went to the library, it filled up. I put it online. Thousands of people come, over
Right.
400,000 people now to learn. But people have used this 90-minute training to care for their loved ones because it's so well done in its framework, but also they've talked about how it has helped heal their grief. Like people have
Mm.
said training helped heal grief they've been carrying around for 40 years. I think they can put things closure and make sense of things and also be inspired by the actual truth and wisdom in that space. And helping somebody leave this world is just as important as helping in. Like there's so many things that are so important, and we have this globally. So when you think about the responsibility of this work, I cannot emphasize what I feel about trying to get it out there and serving people and doing it on this platform, and just being able in all ways is so incredibly important because we can't go back and do that experience again. So
It's so good. And look, and what this confirms to me, Suzanne, is that the difference in how you speak when for most of our conversation, it's kind of like, how am I connecting this, and what does it, and what about this, and domain names and all this other stuff. It's like it's kind of this jumbled mess, right? And not to say that you don't have a good understanding of it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it's night and day difference to when you get into your zone of genius, which is that was that then. It was night and day. And so I just really encourage you that there is no one else like you doing this, but there are hundreds of thousands of people that are doing all this online strategy stuff and events and connecting all the stuff. Do you know what I mean?
noted,
And so
got it, noted,
there's
landed.
right.
Yes,
It
yes,
it really it really is unique. It really is
yeah.
special. And I just really encourage you with that to just be like, I just need to have that right hand person who
Okay.
just does all of that. Like they just make it all work. And then just give me the microphone and I'll do my thing. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? I really encourage you with that.
It's a big world to serve, and I'm really serious.
Totally.
Like it
I
is,
I
yeah,
find that fascinating about um your potential market is not just people that are dealing with friends and family in the future that are going through the end of life, but actually what I heard you say is actually processing the people that have already passed, and that just stepping through this has helped them process that for them. That that's a whole nother it's a whole
yeah. I was
nother
gonna say,
world, right?
which it's so true, and it was a huge surprise to me. The closure, the peace that it brought people, so grateful that it has. But then we think about it like we're pretending that, end of life is not going to happen and people are aging and we don't have the support. And then it shows up. How can that go well? And then people are stuck in this traumatic grief and like regrets and all of it. And they have nowhere to go with it, nowhere to go with it. And so being able to host these was giving them the peace and the closure. And oh, it's so important. But we do have this aging demographic, and I want caregivers, to have the tools they need to be able to show up for their loved ones, because we're all going to be called to do that. Knowing how to do that changes everything. So that's what I want to, messaging I want to get out. And then, of course, people that are called to be these midwives at this space for this aging population. It's
Yeah.
so delicious and beautiful. It's a calling, can serve in that capacity. And that's what we sell. But there's a lot of free resources. So
That's really
I
cool.
really, yeah.
I'm not at all surprised that you said like you do a 4 hour Q&A session. I can totally hear that because you bring up this topic, everyone has their 20-minute story that they want to share, right? Because
Yeah,
because they haven't been able to share it.
that's right.
In the same way we talk about start of life, all of these mothers who have these often traumatic experiences of birth and don't get to talk about it and need to, it's the same, right? Is we have all these experiences that have happened, and often there isn't a space to be able to, or a safe space to be able to just
Yeah.
share that. You know, it's like
And
a whole nother
that's
part
the
of it.
beautiful thing, is that people join from all over the world, and no matter like where they are located, we have this similar experience as far as what's happening at the end and how we're feeling. So it really unites us in this beautiful humanity too. And we
That's
really just
cool.
get, there's something so incredibly healing and beautiful about that connection, which I think we need more than ever today. So creating that space for, this on a bigger level is another win to the topic. So, okay, this was really, really helpful.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So good. So good. It's been a very weird Q&A session today because of the people that have come. There's been like it feels like summer. Everyone's and so we've just had people that haven't been on before, and so but it's been an opportunity to talk not just about Obvio, which is really nice. So thank you for coming on, and thank you for the work you do. I really appreciate it.
Thank you both, because it takes all of us to make this happen, right? To be of service. So I
Totally.
am on this, so I am going to go, but I really took in what you all both said. It was very helpful to have a picture of it, but also to remember what's my gift here, and not to lose sight of showing up fully in that space. So thank you
Hmm.
for that.
Hmm.
Sometimes I try and take on everything. That was really helpful. So I will get to work on a couple of things, and I will be back in and be checking in with you, because we're going to do this all together.
Sounds good.
And I got
Awesome.
two last things I just want to comment on
Yeah, please.
for Suzanne. I think the first is when you're planning out your PAG, because you have those beautiful kind of Q&A, like allowing the audience to share and be part of kind of that feeling of making sure you plan that in, but don't over plan it in. So that way your event doesn't either become super, super long, or the training becomes so short because you're sharing the stories. But I think in this case, I think there's going to be more storytelling time and Q&A time than a normal 3-day event potentially would have, just because you have those beautiful stories and it shows your ability to coach and the empathy. And I think that really is going to help you when it comes to sales, to give them a little bit more opportunities to experience that with you. So that's for your PAG. Then the other one with this, between now and when your webinar starts, continue to build audience. Like that's the number one mistake I really do see with trying to fill events, is people don't do any audience building at all until it's 6 weeks before the event, and then they're reaching out to people and trying to say what they do, and by then you've got a cold list and a cold audience you're trying to warm them up now, between now and mid-July or mid to late June. Like I don't know when exactly in August your event is, but like sometime in July, early July, you'll probably start running your webinars. Or so in June, like start warming them up, just sending out stuff that's non-promotional, related.
Yeah.
Like don't need to buy anything, don't need to do anything other than I'm just giving you something to bring you into my world a little bit more and to help turn you into a little bit of my raving fan.
I love that you said that, because again, as AI is doing its thing, and that's not a terrible thing, I'm trying to lean into more of me, like real, and kind of like go that route. And so I started doing on Wednesdays, we did it today at 12 o'clock, Ask a Death Doula Live, Ask Me Live, come on. And it was such a wonderful hour. So if I can promote that more and bring people into that, share questions, let me answer them, share stories, and then that's kind of seeding, then I can share when time is right for that audience. You know, we still have our
Yep.
list, but you're right, just warming them up to like more of that energy. Yeah, I love it.
And even potentially your list, like I don't know how often you send things out to your list and whatnot, but just making sure that they're warmed up ahead of time because you've done a lot of work building up that list. And
Yeah.
so when you do finally send your event, you do want a lot of them
Thanks.
to take action on it. And
Yeah, I do. I've been trying to put out a really good podcast every week for them. So with value. So yeah.
Yeah,
perfect.
there's
Love it.
plenty. There's plenty of content. I really like what you're saying about AI because it it's creating a whole bunch of content and it's great for processing content, and it's generally about the past. It's kind of like reshaping or recreating content that already exists, and that can be very helpful. But what people are looking for now is the human experience of right now. Let's experience something together. So the idea of live events, live webinars, whatever it is something that people are gravitating towards. It's like I want more of the human experience, and I think that works well. I was just going to mention as well that I think that this idea of lots of sharing going on, I think breakout rooms would be. I'm sure you've done breakout rooms before, but the idea of being able to do a lot of that sharing in groups. And I just mentioned that an idea at the end of your days, particularly in the 3 day event, is a thing that I've called. It's called like a parking lot talk. Is like what happens in an in-person event is that it finishes and then people walk into the foyer and groups form and they're talking in groups, and then there's the parking lot talk, right? It's like they
Yeah.
all get back to the parking lot and they've still been standing around at their cars for 2 hours because they're still processing what happened in the day. And so my encouragement is there's no reason why at the end of a day in Zoom that you just say, hey, we're going to open 10 Zoom rooms that you can jump between, hang out for as long as you want. And you don't need to facilitate anything. It literally is just actually creating some space for people
Wow.
to just hang out and talk. It's really easy to do. Obviously, just
Wow.
have someone who's kind of a host that can shut it down at the end. But in the same way that you don't manage parking lot talk, you don't have to manage these talks either. And so now it's just, hey, some of you have just had a really full-on experience and you don't just want a black screen now. You actually just want a chance just to hang around and just debrief with people. And so it can be topic based. Sometimes it's like, here's here's the spaghetti room and the red room and whatever, and people can choose those topics. And it can also just be general one, two, three, four, five different rooms, and people just flow in
Got it.
between them.
I really feel that, you know, and it's optional, right? So because they
Totally.
do, I think so many people had such a shift in perspective and ahas, and they just want to continue
Yeah.
to talk about that, which they should. That's
Yeah,
great.
and some people are done, right? They're totally done
Yeah.
and they just need to go, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. But it can be like that 10 or 20% that are still just like, I just want to hang around, and they become raving fans, right? Because
Well,
that
so do
end experience,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, I love it. And it's optional. And if it's not a big
yeah,
lift on our teams, I think
it's
that's
not.
such a, yeah, because that's why we're on for 4 hours. Because people are like hanging on
Ye-
there, just
Correct, yeah,
the zone. And it's like, it's wonderful. So that is a very good idea. Thank you for that.
yeah, all
I'm
good.
thrilled, guys. Okay, so I'm going to get to work and I'm going to try
I'll
and
let you
make
go.
it every week. We're going to do this and it's going to be great. So
It's
thank you
gonna be
both.
great.
Yeah,
No
for
worries.
everything. And yeah.
You're
And
welcome.
congrats again. And we're here
Yeah.
each week. If you got other questions that pop back in.
I'll be here. I'll be coming back with good questions. Thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful
No worries.
night, wonderful day. If Grant, you're starting your day, and I'll see you next
That's
week.
right, I am. No worries.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right.
And
We
I do see we
continue
have a
this
few more people
quick
that
one.
have
Yeah,
that
they
have
kind of
joined.
popped in.
Yeah, if anyone's got questions, it's time to turn the camera on and mute yourself, ask your question.
So funny. I thought this one was going to last about 10 or 15 minutes, and we've just had people, just a scattering of people that have come in.
Well, I was
Hello.
late today. I was monitoring the people in there as another meeting was running late. And I was like, only 3 or 4 people in. I was like, Grant's got this. Like,
Yeah. Hey, Bill. All right. Bill, Anna, Laura, anyone got anything to share? Otherwise, we might shut it down. All right. I think we will. That's a good one. Okay. Well, we are available live chat during the week, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern. You'll probably get to chat to Carl and John, who are on this call, and then we can take your email messages as well at help@ovv.io. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. No worries. Bye-bye.
Bye.